Today, we're going to tear apart a Bob Dylan protest song, George Jackson. We're going to use only the lyrics to uncover the anatomy of a tragedy, and, in the process, find a powerful critique of a justice system that feels, well, more relevant than ever. So right out of the gate, the song doesn't start with a big political statement. It starts here, with this incredibly intimate image of grief. This tells you immediately this isn't some abstract issue. This is a personal wound, and that raw emotion is going to ground everything that follows. And then, boom, the cause of that grief is laid bare. The language here is just so blunt, so brutal. There's no poetry trying to soften it. It's just the cold, hard, violent truth of what happened. This line sets the stakes. It tells you exactly what this story is about: injustice and death. Then we get the chorus. It feels like the slow, solemn tolling of a bell, doesn't it? It's more than just a catchy refrain. It's this tragic anchor for the whole story, reminding us over and over again of the final, irreversible act. Okay, so you have to be asking, how did we get here? The song points to one single event that kicked this whole tragedy into motion. And, the details it gives us are just shocking in how simple they are. $70. That's it. The lyrics tell us this is why he was sent to prison in the first place. Dylan just isolates that number, and it forces you, the listener, to weigh it against a man's entire life. The sheer smallness of that sum is meant to feel totally, completely out of balance. This line right here, it's just chilling. It captures the absolute finality of his sentence. This wasn't about rehabilitation. No. That image of throwing away the key, it means permanent removal. He was being erased from society, all for a $70 crime. So what the song is building, piece by piece, is this clear-cut case of disproportionate consequence. The system it's describing isn't about justice, not really. It's about retribution. It's about disposal. The punishment doesn't just fit the crime, it completely obliterates the person who committed it. So who was this man, George Jackson, according to the song? Well, the lyrics make a really interesting shift here. They move from what was done to him to who he was. And they paint a picture of someone who was so much more than just another prisoner. See, according to these lyrics, his real crime, it wasn't the $70. His real transgression was his spirit. The song says he was defiant, he was authentic, he was unbending. It was this refusal to be broken, this quality of being too real for the system that really made him a target. Now this is where the power dynamic gets really fascinating. The guards, they have all the physical control, right? They're cursing him from above. But the song completely flips the script on who has the real power. Their aggression, it says, isn't coming from a place of strength. It's coming from fear. They're frightened of his spirit, of his power, and his love. And that's the very question the song forces you to ask. What kind of power are we talking about here? It's not physical strength. It's something deeper. It suggests that an unbreakable human spirit, a sense of self-worth that can't be extinguished by prison walls, well, that's the biggest threat there is to a system that's built on control and dehumanization. All right, so in the final verse, the song takes all this personal grief and this critique of the system, and it expands it into its most radical, most powerful statement yet. And with this verse, it's like the camera just pulls all the way back. Suddenly, the prison isn't just a building made of steel and concrete anymore. It becomes a metaphor for society itself. The story of this one man suddenly becomes the story of all of us. And this right here is the song's final damning point. It suggests that these dynamics of control and confinement, they aren't just happening in there, behind prison walls. No, they're happening out here too. And that forces every single one of us to ask a really uncomfortable question. Which one am I? A prisoner or a guard? So you see this amazing journey the song takes us on, right? It goes from a personal tragedy to a systemic injustice, and finally to this universal metaphor. It's a critique that completely dismantles the kind of moral universe that figures like Donald Trump rely on, a universe where harsh punishment is sold as justice, and where the victims of that system are somehow painted as being inherently guilty from the start. And yet, even after that massive philosophical leap, the song just crashes right back down to earth. It reminds us that while some people glorify violence and call for tougher sentences, the outcome here is brutally simple. A man is dead. They laid him in the ground. End of story. And that leaves us with the song's ultimate challenge. In a world where some voices are always demanding more walls, more control, more punishment, Dylan turns the whole idea of a prison into a mirror. He forces us to look at our own society and ask ourselves, in this system, right now, who are the prisoners and who are the guards?